Hello again, it's Noob, and here we have, well, it's the Peterson Lockpicks Shrike Predator pick set. And this is a set I bought with my own money. It's not sponsored in any way. And I got this because I was kind of curious, I'll be honest with you. I was looking for some good beginner sets from Peterson. I use a lot of Peterson picks in my videos. I do like their stuff. They've never sponsored a single video of mine, so I've got no skin in the game, so to speak. But I thought, looking at the profiles online, that these might altogether be a relatively good beginner's pick set. Good steel, they call it government steel, in 25 thousandths of an inch, which is pretty tough stuff, so good for beginners. Gives you a lot of rigidity. I thought that the shank heights were pretty reasonable as well, all things considered. It had lots of different hook profiles and a rake, and I just thought, you know what, let's actually have a look at this, see if it's any good. Generally, I was kind of curious about this. We'll come on to pricing at the end, and yeah, let's have a look at what we get. Now, I'm not going to go into the politics of why these picks were made and the story behind them. You can look at the Peterson website, and I think I covered this in a previous video, and so have other creators. We're just going to look at this as a set of picks, see whether they are just a nice set of picks, whether they would actually make a nice starter set in particular. So we start out with a rounded short hook. It's quite a broad tipped pick, but it is a short hook, so I don't think that really matters. Then we have something which is a bit like a low gem profile, which tapers down quite thin towards the tip. These probably all have names, but I don't think that actually matters for the sake of this review. A medium hook. Now, this is very similar to one I use in 18 thousandths, and I do like the depth of this. Albeit it is a bit chunkier in 25 thousandths, as you would imagine. Then we have two profiles which I'm not really sure how to describe. More kind of like sweeping gem profiles. This has a strange curve in it. It's not bent. This is how it came. This is somehow designed. It's not quite a spoon profile, but it's definitely a sweeping hook profile. Both of these are. You might describe them as a variant of a reach with a gem style tip. Not really sure. Don't think they're necessarily bad profiles, but they are interesting, not maybe ones I would choose probably as a preference, but we'll come on to that. We'll give them a go. Then we have this, which is sort of multi-angled. We have sort of a section here, section there, and then the main shank. Again, that I call this sort of quite a deep hook. And again, it's got a gem style tip on there. I imagine that could be quite useful in some locks. So yep, there's that. And then there's this sort of triple peak worm style rake. Now, as much as I use Peterson picks, they have in the past, I've reviewed some sets, if you look back in my history of videos, where the finishing on some of their picks has not been great. But all of these, let's grab a hook as well, actually look pretty good. Not too sharp. You could probably get away with some 1000 grit on here, just take away some of the edges, but there's no sort of laser jitter or anything like that on here. It genuinely all looks pretty nice. The handles are, well, I've always enjoyed the Peterson handles. They've got a nice grippy texture. These are the hard plastic ones, very firm. The shank actually goes only into, so the tang, I should say, of the pick goes only, it's really hard to say, but it doesn't go in too far. It's about this far, just under an inch, I think. Okay, a bit less. I don't know whether you can see that, but it looks like the tang only goes as far as that hole. I thought it went a bit deeper. I have to admit, though, I've never had a problem with my Peterson picks breaking in the handle ever, so I don't think that matters. Clearly, whatever they are doing, it works. my one, I know normally save criticism to the end, and this is like the smallest point, but I really, really don't like the colour of the handles. Does it matter? Not one amount at all. Nothing. Doesn't matter at all. It makes no difference. The handles are great, but I don't know what to call this colour. Genuinely, what even is that? Compare that to my 18 thousandths picks, a colour which I absolutely love. It's some kind of like pink purple. This is vile in comparison. Anyway, we won't mark the set down just because I don't like the colour. This might be somebody's absolute favourite colour. Gone off mustard might be what you live for. I don't know. So overall, you know, we have, I think, at least 4 pretty decent pick profiles. 2 I'm unsure of, we'll come back to, and what looks to be a really nice worm rake. So honestly, as long as I think 5 out of these, how many we've got? Yeah, 7 picks are good. I reckon that's probably a pretty decent set. Let's have a pick. Now, the set doesn't come with any turners. That's maybe a bit of a downside. But I do want to see what this profile is like. I've got quite a tight little keyway in this Aber 6050. I think we should be okay, I think. I'm just going to go through. 25 thousandths gives you some really nice feedback. You know, it's very sort of robust. Let's get under pin number 1. It's very robust thickness. You know, it's you get some nice feedback from it. So just under 5 there. Working my way along. That's 4. Working my way along again. Just trying to find anything that's giving me that counter rotation. Still in a full set, which is good. Looks like I've got another pin here, and we are open. Felt pretty good. I tend to use the 18 thousandths picks because for American style locks like this, where you haven't got a paracentric keyway, these slip beautifully down the keyway. They don't get hung up on any of the side warding, and you know, whether you've got something like this, one of my favourite locks to pick, this random true value, I believe it's a store in the US lock, or this American Lock 1100 series. This just, something like this gem star pick goes beautifully inside the keyways. Now, I want to try to pick from the bottom of the keyway using this tool, because I reckon that should be quite nice. It does fit down the keyway again, even at 25 thousandths. A little bit, I can feel a little bit of rubbing, but not too much. So we'll just grab one of these locks and give that a go. Really is one of my favourite locks to pick. Just love the feedback on this. Got some beautiful spools in there. And I think if this pick behaves itself, it should do a really good job. Bit of rubbing. I'm losing some of that feedback, which is, you know, it's important. It's not terrible though. I'm not gonna lie. It's not really overt. It's just a little bit much. But oh, just pulled my turning tool out. Go back through. 6 here. 5. Counter rotation. You really see those spools turn and set as I go through this lock. Honestly, it's such a nice lock. I wish I had more of these true value locks, and we're open. I'll be honest, I'm not a big fan of either of these two profiles. The shanks are way too thick. I don't really get what they're for. But to give them the best chance, I'm going to probably use this one, probably the better one of the two, in this American kick cylinder with a Shrike style keyway. I mean, it's an American brand, so maybe these are designed for wider keyway American locks. And actually that's totally fine. So let's go along. It's quite a deep pick. I am being robbed of some of the feedback as I go through this, but more so than the last lock. Just going to go through and see where we get to. I feel that something's holding us back, but I can't feel what just yet. I'm just going to angle my pick as I go through. Oh, we got it. Okay, not bad, not bad. Not my favourite. I feel that there's a whole host of other picks that would do a better job than this, but it worked. You've got a basic keyway with a lot of room. It genuinely wasn't too bad. Since we're here, we'll do the American lock with this weird swoopy hooky thing. It's quite an extreme bitting on this, so that's a lot tighter. This deeper profile generally might be quite good. So again, need a lot of room in the keyway for a hook like this, but just playing around with the inside. Lots of little clicks, as you'd expect from one of these American locks. Why they're such good fun to pick. Genuinely one of my favourite locks to pick into that false set. Going along, just testing everything. Seems like just chest not open. Seems like it must be something at the back. Yep, pin at the back here. Oh, and we are open. Okay, so performed surprisingly well. Maybe that extra thick shank just gave me that really, really good feedback. I did feel the pins very well despite this extra thickness rubbing on each side of the lock. So yeah, if you've got the deep enough keyway, I think sometimes you might have to fit the lock to the tool, but it worked, right? I think we can pretty quickly test out this medium hook on something like this Master Lock Magnum or XL, depending on what your preference in its naming is, depending on where you are in the world, I guess. Oh, there we go, got the open. Same with the short hook. I already know there's going to be no problems, even in a small keyway like this, using a short hook like this. It's just a classic profile. It's proven itself over and over again. I don't think anybody can sort of complain about this kind of profile. Just got to make sure that we dodge those spool pins. What am I doing with the lock? There you go. Which leaves us with this triple peak rake. So I've got some locks here which are easy to rake, and this should dispense these very, very quickly indeed. Again, it's a nice profile. You can tell it's going to work just totally fine as soon as you sort of look at it. It's just one of those classics, if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of profiles, really. Yeah, works as you'd expect. So there you are. I hope that was a pretty good demo. We tried out all of these profiles, I think quite fairly. And this is the point in the video where I would do my things I like, pros, cons, you know, things I don't like, things I would maybe change. And yeah, talk about pricing. So pricing depends where you get them. I've got a few prices here from websites. You might find other websites with different pricing, but I think this is a good enough indication. I'm going to give you dollars, pounds and euros and tell you where you can get them from in those currencies. None of these are sponsored links at all, so do shop around. So from Peterson themselves, this is $45 US. I think the shipping to Europe and the UK can be quite high with that. So, but if you're in the US, obviously that's going to be cheaper. So that's $45 for these 7 picks. In the UK, I think UK lockpickers are selling this for about £65. And if you go to Zeofix, which is the vent website, you can get these for €53.55. Like I said, there might be other resellers. Do shop around. So things I like. I do like the fact that this set is hook heavy. There are some pretty reasonable hooks. I personally think that these 4 are really solid choices. You got, you know, a real range of shallow to deep hooks. I found them all very usable. Another thing I like about this is, especially for beginners, these are 25 thousandths of an inch. There is some compromises if you're picking more European keyways, which are a little bit tighter. These extra thicknesses, although they give very good feedback, they do tend to get a little bit, they tend to rub on the warding of some locks, and you may want to get a thinner gauge set of picks, even if they're Peterson, if you're going to be picking sort of tighter, more paracentric keyways, or you're a more experienced picker. But I do like that thickness. It's not too thick. It's a good compromise. The finishing on these is, I think, perfectly adequate. It's not the best finishing I've seen, definitely not the worst. You can use it straight out of the box. I've not modified these at all, and despite having some slightly ropey quality control issues in the past to my experience and some of my friends, I don't have any complaints here at all. Other things I like, genuinely like these handles. They are a really nice thickness. Could they be a little bit longer? Maybe an extra centimetre would have been more comfortable, but that's the way these have always been, and I'm used to them by now. Really nice and rigid, convey the feedback really well. Nice, have a really nice grip to them. One of my favourite handles. If I was to be honest with you, they are one of my favourite handles that you can get. I like these plastic moulded handles. Oh, and I do really like this worm rake profile. It's just a triple peak worm rake. They work. They're great. So yeah, quite a lot to like about this. I think it's reasonably priced for the quality of the tool and the quality of the steel. I know from for a fact that these are very durable. So yeah, quite a lot to like. Things I don't like so much. It would be really nice to have a complementary Bogota style triple peak rake in here, and maybe bin one of these. I think they serve a very similar niche. They work, but you might have to sort of find the lock for the pick rather than pick for the lock in some circumstances. I'm just not a big fan. Are they filler? No, not really, but I don't see how these have an advantage over any of the hooks in my other hand. I definitely think you could probably maybe just not use that one. That would be perfectly fine. But honestly, 6 out of 7 tools being pretty usable, I'm very comfortable about. So but yeah, just really not really big fan of this one at all. I will say once again, I think the colour is pretty disgusting, but that's just me. It doesn't in any way affect the quality of the tools or anything like that. I just don't know why they went with that. They could have gone with pretty much any other colour and I would have been a lot happier. So yeah, I mean, generally not a lot to dislike about this set at all, but a set like this is actually not a bad beginner set. If you look at what Peterson offer, there isn't really a great coherent beginner set out there. This is almost as close as they get. There are a few other ones out there which you might consider, but really, if you're looking at learning the art of lockpicking, want to do a lot more single pin picking than raking, this plus one of their triple peak Bogota rakes would be really good. So some turning tools in with this, even if they're just bottom of the keyway, would have been a big bonus. So yeah, anything I'd change about this? I think I've said it before. Get rid of this, add a triple peak rake and a few turners, you're good to go. So overall, I think a pretty positive review of this set, this Shrike Predator set. It looks a bit weird, but overall, I'm quite happy with it. I do personally prefer my 18,000ths Peterson tools, but I'm more experienced picker picking more paracentric keyways. But if you want something a bit different with a lot of hook profiles, if you're picking more American style keyways in particular, which are a bit more open, a little less tight on the warding, then yeah, definitely worth consideration, I think. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. Really like to know your thoughts. What profiles would you swap out? Have you used these for a while? I've only really tested these for a few days myself. Let me know in the comments. Other people read it too. They would want to know your thoughts. It's not just me who has an opinion. I do read all the comments as well and reply to as many as I can. If you like this video, leave a like. If you haven't subscribed and want to see more reviews like this, then please do subscribe. It really helps my channel out, and I will see you all next time.